In 2014, FIFA produced their own movie, and just by that statement alone, you already know it's amazing. Now, before we get into anything, and I usually don't do this because I like to just get right with the video, but I feel like I owe a little bit of an explanation here. I apologize for the lack of uploads. It was simply because I had a cold, and I didn't necessarily want to make anything worse, so I just took the whole week off and kind of laid back. It was kind of nice, to be honest. But now I'm back, and hopefully that means more consistent uploads throughout the next few weeks. But enough of that, you aren't here to listen to me talk about a cold. So when you start the movie, you're greeted with this scene of children playing football. This has nothing to do with the plot, by the way. But within the first 30 seconds, you can pretty much predict one of the most half-assed attempts at promoting equality in cinematic history. Holy shit, is that Glenn Foy from Goal? The story begins with Teddy Roosevelt writing to the English FA to join his little association that would help organize football all around the world. A few days later, Teddy and his French goon talk to an English FA official about their little proposal.
Gentlemen, I've told you 1,000 times to shoot first. Shoot! Football may be a gentleman's game, but it is a man's sport.
What? Anyways, the mean Englishman says no, and so Teddy and representatives of other European federations create FIFA. FIFA! So why was this encounter even included? Well, because one of the reoccurring themes of this masterpiece is Englishmen bad.
Their damned island can sink into oblivion.
Come on, shake the leg and dance, come on.
Now fast forward 20 years into the future, and FIFA have accomplished absolutely nothing.
Who the hell is that?
Jules Rimet. He's the president of some federation that nobody even knows.
You, could have done another take for that. Because of their non-existent presence in the world, the new president Jules Rimet starts heckling the Uruguayan national team in an effort to create a story for the media to write about.
How dare you? I forbid you.
And I forbid you from forbidding me anything.
What? Following the conference, Jules is so confident about his little publicity stunt that he starts telling his friends about his visions of grandeur. A world championship.
He's mad.
No. He's a visionary.
This was an actual line written in the script. Unfortunately, the stunt doesn't work, and Rimet starts losing hope about organizing the World Cup. That is until he calls up a buddy who gave Rimet his phone number. Meet Enrique Buero, the man who has, in his own words, unlimited money. Even though FIFA have done all for the past 20 years, because Rimet spoke his mind at that press conference, Buero is more than convinced to make the World Cup happen. This is literally Falcon and the Winter Soldier levels of writing.
But I promise you, on my honor, that in 5 years' time, the first World Championship will be played in Montevideo, in a brand new stadium.
The first World Championship will take place in 1930, in a country yet to be determined.
Wait, so Rimet is doing a bidding process for the first World Cup, even though they already know who's the host. Here's another example of this film blatantly painting just British people as evil, because we all know back in the late 20s, only the British were racist and sexist, right?
Who knows, the Zulus may be excellent football players. Maybe they just don't know it yet.
But young lady, the natives of Africa are stupid and undisciplined. It's just their nature. How could they possibly be expected to appreciate the subtleties of a game invented by the whites?
Quite good.
Negroes playing football. Why not women while we're at it?
For about the next 5 minutes, it's just a sequence of this stuff before the tournament. Honestly, nothing of any importance. It won't be the first time this happens, because alongside being a propaganda film, this is boring. I mean, it's literally a film about executives. Do you know how lame that is? There's like one scene where Jules is concerned about the stock market crash in America affecting the World Cup, but his daughter pretty much just says, "You're dreaming, forget about it." And that was the end of the concerns. Just like that. So after the 1930 World Cup, World War II started to become a conversation amongst the federations. And to be honest, this had potential, but it's so useless to the story because in the end, it's just Jules Rimet praying it goes away practically. And boom! War is no more. Thank you, Jules. We fast forward to the final of the 1950 World Cup in Brazil. Brazilians everywhere are confident their nation will lift the trophy high. In fact, also Jules Rimet looks quite excited for Brazil's victory for some reason. But of course, this is the 1950 World Cup final we are talking about. One of the largest upsets in World Cup history. But the way this was portrayed in the movie is interesting, to say the least.
I saw him transform football. And it was this passion They carried him along an exceptional destiny for over 33 years.
He f***ing died? Meet our now second protagonist, Joao Havelange, who weirdly looks like Jair Bolsonaro in this movie. For now, Havelange is still a part of the International Olympic Committee, but he's thinking about running for FIFA president. However, the current president of FIFA is generic British villain number 982, whose only character traits are being racist and thinking England is superior.
You see, our world just isn't ready for those who were born less fortunate.
I think you can kind of see how this conflict ends. Joao Havelange, the non-racist, helps those like the African Confederation, unlike the current president. Havelange wins the presidency by a landslide, and that's that. I find this just a little bit ironic because this is talking about FIFA helping the smaller nations, and yeah. We now find out FIFA is all of a sudden struggling for money.
So I don't care if you call on Brezhnev or Castro or Mao, I don't care. But I will have results.
I just want you all to remember, this was a movie funded by FIFA themselves. Now, FIFA may be in the mud, but fortunately for them, they have young Sepp Blatter. Now, in this film, if you can even call it that, Sepp Blatter is portrayed as God himself, and I'm not even exaggerating that at all. Honestly, I've seen Nazi films with less propaganda. Who is Sepp Blatter for those who may not know? To put it simply, before the days of the Super League and the World Cup every 2 years bullshit, there was the 2015 FIFA corruption scandal, which involved a ton of FIFA officials, including then president at the time, Sepp Blatter. So just remember that for context as we go throughout the rest of this video. But within the first 10 minutes of God himself, Sepp Blatter's appearance, he makes deals with Coca-Cola at a cup final and works up the biggest deal in the world with Adidas at the back of a gas station. The year is now 1978, and Argentina is currently in the middle of a dictatorship, and they also so happen to be hosting the World Cup this year.
The Argentine Mundial will be a great opportunity for all of Latin America. Now, the press go on and on about dictatorships and political prisoners and so on, but as soon as the game kicks off, things change.
Much like the 1936 Olympics, the Argentinian dictatorship used this World Cup as a nationalistic propaganda.
And the World Cups that we organize do more for world peace than any UN resolution. Trust me.
Hey! Oh, Uncle, that's cheating.
Cheating? Oh, that's a big word. Imagine there's a cloud here above your football field. And here is God. And God intervenes and puff, some gold. Is that cheating?
But you're not God.
You think so?
F***ing what? So once that's over, we constantly see Lord Blatter himself busting his ass for the good of the beautiful game.
We should be concentrating on the women's teams.
Listen, I know this video is all over the place, but quite frankly, that's the entire movie. We have gone through about 5 decades now. This is the first movie that I've ever seen go through 5 different decades and also fail so horribly at it. And honestly, if you don't know anything about FIFA, good luck trying to understand this. Hell, even if you do watch football regularly, you still will not understand this mess. The rest of this movie is basically just Sepp climbing up the ranks and fighting against corruption, and I mean, you know. But it is so boring, man. I know it's a propaganda film, but it's not like you even feel any intensity throughout this so-called climax, or even any of the climaxes throughout this movie. There is one scene that is really just pure comedy.
I'm not responsible for what might have happened prior to my presidency, which you choose to call embezzlement.
You're the Secretary General, for God's sakes. Either you knew, which makes you just as guilty, or you didn't, which makes you a bloody fool.
Again, this movie was funded by FIFA. Anyways, the film closes off with our hero Sepp Blatter defeating the evils of corruption, yes I know, and immediately in the credits scene, Sepp Blatter reveals the 2010 World Cup hosts. Like, you can't make this shit up, man. It was a chore to get through this movie. It's not even the type of enjoyable bad. It's just horribly bad. It should be mentioned that Tim Roth, who actually played Sepp Blatter, only did this film to pay off his kid's college. And honestly, I respect that, especially knowing that he's from Hollywood and his kids probably went to some extremely expensive ass colleges in the States. But let's talk finances for a second. FIFA spent around $25 to $32 million on this movie. The estimated in-between amount that everyone keeps saying is like 29 million. So with that all being said, how much did they make back from the box office? $100,000. And it gets better. It gets better because in its first weekend in the United States, it made over $900. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the worst football movie ever made. This was a project I was working on since about like 2 weeks ago, but since I was sick, I never got to record it until now, so here it is. I'd like to give a massive thank you to my patrons, Lewis, Emmett Shea, Dominic Griffin, and Joseph Bonfante. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and also in the annotations. Contributing to the Patreon will help me a ton in being able to create better content for you guys and a lot more of it. But you can also follow my Twitter where there's video updates and me complaining about Arsenal. You can follow my Instagram if you want. Follow my TikTok, still trying to get to 5,000. Maybe a better number is 2,000 at this point. And also, you can follow my Twitch. But until then, I'll see you guys.